there, welcome back guys. In today's video we're going to be going over the 3D printed Pavo Pico. That's right, we crashed our drone, needed a new part. Why wait a week or two for the parts to come when you can print your own, right? Anyway, without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, so here's the frame to the Pavo Pico. Kind of neat, huh? You can do a time lapse. I'll leave a link to everything in the description, so if you guys want to do the same thing, you can. And there it is. There's the finished product. Amazing. Took about an hour based on the print settings. So, you decide what print settings are good for you. You could probably print it in less time if you really know how to finagle the settings. But this is really, really nice. And it's solid. It's stronger. I'm not sure if it's heavier or not. But, you could always do a weight comparison in another video, but so far so good, and I kind of like it. I can't wait to fly it. All right, so first what you're going to need are a set of press nuts. I'll leave the press nuts in the link to the video description, so you'll be able to find that. If you don't have the press nuts, for whatever reasons, you can salvage your old frame. As you see here, I already have 3 press nuts installed, which I actually had removed from the Pavo Pico. So I'll show you guys how to remove it. You need a really strong set of pliers because it's really hard plastic. And, you find the right angle that's right for you. Watch your fingers because you can, hurt yourself. You might want to wear safety goggles too because you can, things will go flying in the night. And you don't want that while having this experience. They will, but you don't want that flying in your eye. So you see that right there? The piece itself went flying. So you're either going to have a piece go flying or the actual piece you're trying to salvage go flying off. And then slowly, I remember there was a video that I was doing where I took something apart, and Afix had suggested just using heat to, let me just switch the camera around so that you guys could actually see what's happening. Afix had suggested using heat to just push it out, and I wasn't sure if that would work or not, or if it would just melt everything and create a totally different experience. But this worked pretty good, but you have to be careful. And then as you can see, once you get it out, you want to attach the bolt to it. This is the original screw from the Pavo Pico, and so just making sure that it fits. There's nothing because you could accidentally damage it, if that makes any sense, and you don't want to damage it. All right, so here it is. Here's our 3D printed frame that we were able to replace and print in less than an hour. So this is kind of neat because you'll be flying in no time. So if you crash, you'll probably be up in the air in about an hour or so, depending on your print setting. Well, also depending on how fast you can put this together. But if that's your plan, you could always have some of these ready to go, because now, thanks to FPV Unknown, just order a set of press nuts and have a frame ready, so that when you do crash, you just lock and load. So as you can see, what you want to do is you want to seed it a little bit. So as you can see, I seeded it a bit, right, so that it just can get started. And once you get it started, you want to somehow get it to hold. You can't push it through. That's the only problem. And the reason why you can't is because the heat has to melt the plastic so that it can just slip right through and then bind at the same time. So you can see, if you look, you can see all the other 3 are in there, and you only get 1 take, so you got to get it right. If you melt, if it starts to melt and you bend it another way, you're going to have to print another one. So, this is 1 take. Unless there's another tool out there that actually lets you do this, then, that will work better than the method we're using here right now. But right now, as you can see, I'm just making sure the hole is clear. And remember, you see the screw all the way through so that no plastic accidentally goes into the hole. Turn your soldering iron up to the max. For me, it was 890, I believe it was. And then once it heats up, you just press. So the soldering iron is hot. Soldering iron was actually preheated. And then as you can see, it's just pushing itself through, but you have to be careful because it's tricky. It's not easy. And even if you see, look at that. So once you get it through, and then you just slowly push and let it push in a little bit at a time, push in a little bit at a time. And then you just check on the other side, see how the plastic there, but that's okay, because remember, we took care of the screw. so that nothing goes into the press nut. So once all you have to do is keep pushing it through, then you'll be, things will be okay. And that's it. And it's hot, I have to tell you. I have so many ooh, moments. So what happens is, once you know it's all the way through, what you'll do is you'll just take your screwdriver, right, and with the right key, you just keep turning it and turning it. See that? And turning it, and then the remnants of the plastic comes out, and then voila. And then now you're good to go. Now we are ready to put on the frame to the pavo pico, and you can either leave the screw here, or either way it has to come out, so that we can put the the O3 air unit and the all the goodies that we're going to transfer from the other drone. You could use a tweezer and just clean up the remnants. If it's too hard, you might need more heat. If not, you could use a tweezers like I am here, or if not, you could also take a screwdriver and then just run the screw all the way through the hole. But as you can see, in this particular case, I could use the pliers because it is hard plastic, so it's not going to be easy to take off. And you just gently, remember, there's no rush. You're done when you're done. If you got a rush, then accidents will happen, and you'll either cut your finger or you'll ruin the frame, and you won't be able to, basically build the rest of your drone unless you print another one. So just take your time. If it takes a day, great. If it takes an hour, great. As long as it takes for you to finish, because like I said, you're done when you're done. And as you can see, what you want to do is run the screw all the way through again with your screwdriver, right? And then once you run it through, you can just double check it, and voila, look at that. Everything is good to go. And then the moment of the truth is actually when you just do it again, because just double check, and everything should be okay once you run it through one more time. And let's see, let's try it again. And keep going, and watch your fingers. As you can see, my fingers here, but that was doing something else. I was actually building a fort with my kids in the schoolyard, and that's another story. Anyway, so make sure you get everything ready. And as you can see, this is the remnants of the other drone, all ready to go. You don't have to use blue tape. I used blue tape because in the beginning I wasn't sure which was left, which was right, because it does have to be put in properly, and basically left is left and right is right. And as you can see, even though it's in there, you have to put the bolts in. They're like these little nuts that go in between, otherwise it'll just sandwich, and your drone will move and you'll have shaky cam. So the bolts do give support. You could put it in without the bolts, but again, you'll have shaky cam, and even with the rock steady motion thingy that the O3 air unit comes with, it's not going to be optimal when it comes to its flight. So what you have to do is you have to open it up. As you can see, it's really hard. It's so tricky. But as you can see, look, the bolts are so small, and you got to somehow finagle it so that first the bolt goes in. If you have a better way of doing this, great. I'm not sure if they're magnetic or not, but I tried using the tweezers, and it didn't really work 100%. But as you can see, there it is. Once you get it through, and remember, you have to do this to all four. You just can't do one. I mean, you can, unless you have the Rocksteady software and you're going to do it that way, then that's fine. And then it's tricky because you want to make sure that you get it in, but then you have to screw it so that it's balanced, and then it comes through. It's tricky but doable, as you can see, because in the end, this will be up in the air and flying. And then that's just one, and then you have 3 more to go. And as you can see, you have to double check it because it has to be the right distance, the right tightness. And if it's too loose, then you have to undo it. It's really tricky doing these bolts, but the reward in the end is getting your drone up and running. And not to make this a habit of every day, having to print new drones. But in the beginning, you will crash. You'll crash. And this is a great starter drone because once you know how to fix this, moving forward, it's basically the same movie with other drones, unless you have a stack, flight controller, and that's totally different, but somewhat similar. But once you start adding things to the drone, it does become like a silent movie with subtitles, where eventually you're like, hey, I speak Mandarin, and then you'll get it. And as you can see, I'm testing this bolt right here, just running it through. And it's, again, tricky, but doable, but you just have to, requires patience. And the more patience you have, the more success there's going to be when it comes to putting the pavo pico together. And as you can see, there's still more bolts that need to go. And then we have this one on that side. And then you want to make sure it's balanced too, because once the bolts lock in, you might have to, it's kind of like leveling the bed to your 3D printer. Once you do one on the left, then you do one on the right. And what you want to do is you just want to get them all in. And once you have them all in, then you can just balance the flight controller inside the frame. As you can see, that part's a little bit loose. But again, you want to seed them in so that they're evenly applied and there's no, no off leveling. And then turn the propellers, because you want to make sure nothing rubs. And it's a good print when the propellers turn. And as you can see, the propellers turn beautifully. And you got to check the propellers and the motors every now and again to make sure that nothing is stuck, because sometimes something will get stuck. And when it gets stuck, that means you got to undo it again. And as you can see, so far, so good. But, it's working out. It's getting there. Again, it's tricky. And, I just want to fly. You probably just want to fly. I just want to see it fly. And this would be the same for any other drone you have out there. So, whether it's the Pavo Pico version 2, if you look deep in the internet, you'll find someone said, hey, what if I can make an STL file so that folks can print there? And the best part is that this file is available. I'll leave a link to this STL file so that if you guys, want to print your own, just follow the link. Or maybe you don't have a 3D printer. We'll have a raffle where we will have, leave the first 10 comments will be eligible to the bingo drawing for the Pavo Pico frame for those of you who want. So you see, I'm just checking the propellers, making sure, because the last thing you want is to have a 3D print gone wrong, and then you're like, damn, I got to print it again. And sometimes it's hit or miss with certain files. Sometimes some files will be like yay and some will be nay, and then you're just back to the drawing board. In this case, I guess you could say I got lucky, but this is the second frame that I printed. The one that you see in the video was actually the first one. But look at that, kind of neat. And then you want to make sure your wires are good. So again, you lay it flat, and then you take the screwdriver, and then you start making things tighter. And as you make them tighter, you make sure that the propellers move. Look at that, because if there's rubbing, not going to work out. It might work, but then there's a possibility, as fast as these motors turn, you could have a propeller that explodes, and you don't want that. And as you can see, we're just checking this one over here on this side, and then we just sometimes, as you can see, I gotta undo another one. So sometimes you undo one, and then you fix another, and then I sort of like going like a leveling system. As you can see, that made things a little bit better. But you got to do that a couple of times. As you can see, this one's I'm making a little bit loose, and then adjusting the other ones. You loose, and then adjust the other ones. Loose, and then adjust the other ones. As you can see, this one I'm just taking out because so just trying to balance it out. So don't get discouraged as for when you put it in, you're like, wait, it's rubbing. As you can see, it requires balancing all of the nuts and bolts, because if you don't, it will rub. And as you can see, you still have shaky cam, and you don't want shaky cam, and you want everything. And between shaking cam and the motors rubbing are the two things you don't want for your 3D printed drone, or any drone, because remember, you can actually order the Pavo frame from online. It'll take a couple of days or weeks to get here. Weeks probably if you order it from China. Days if you order it from California. So as you can see, I'm just getting some more bolts, because as you can see, the bolts have to go in too. And that's the tricky part here, doing the bolts, because as you can tell, I have big hands, and if you have big hands, it does make it a little bit tricky. But as you can see, I'm going to try and see if I can put it on the pliers, right? And then once you have it on the pliers, you can somehow finagle it so that it goes in there, but it's not working. I mean, they make it look so easy in these videos where they grab the tweezers and do a nuts and bolts thingy, and somehow the YouTube hack, is it sauce? Yeah, It's kind of, well, not really. I guess it depends on your hands. But it is doable. It's just having the right tools, or, just, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And this is not something you want to be doing more of anyway, because as you can tell, it is a pain in the butt. But, it's, and again, so as you can see, I have to take it apart again because the bolts have to be, the bolts, I believe they're called the bolts and nuts, right? The screws and the bolts that go in there, they have to go in this particular part underneath. And if you miss it, you got to do it again. So again, you seed it a little like I did before in the previous one, right? And then, because I figured, hey, why not just seed them? Because there's no way I can just finagle it by trying to squeeze them in and hold it in between. So as you can see, first put the bolts on, then first put the screws on, and then do the bolts so that they're slightly in there, but not all the way in, and then put it on the board, on the frame of the board itself, and then now you should have no trouble screwing everything into the press nuts. See how all the screws are? Now they're ready to go instead of trying to squeeze them in. And there's just one more bolt or nut. I forget what they're called on the side, as you can see in the top of my hand that might go in. But look at that. So I got 1, 2, almost there. And again, watch the flight controller if you have stuff soldered there like I do. As you can see, we have the GPS there. You've got a lot of, so even though it looks like I'm manhandling it, you got to be careful because the last thing you want is disconnecting something, whether if you have a lights connected, because you could connect lights, I believe, but it's just, I don't think you'll be able to control it with the Pavo 1 from the flight controller, but you could set it up so that they turn on as soon as you put the battery in. But as you can see, the unit still works great though. Which is good too, because remember, sometimes you crash your drone, you could lose your flight controller, or sometimes you crash your drone and you could lose your GPS. So you have to be really careful. As you can see, everything's moving forward now easily, and I'm leaving in all the details. I could make this hyperlapse really fast, but most people that have the Pavo, it's usually their first drone, and when doing repairs, you got to take your time. And sometimes you're like, wait, how do I do this? Wait, how do I do that? And, like most beginners, you need that how-to. So, but maybe I'll turn this into a YouTube short sometime down the road. And as you can see, now everything is moving smoothly because the screws were ready before they went onto the 3D printed Pavo Pico frame. And as you can see, not bad, huh? But you still want to check everything. Things still got to be balanced. You still have to loosen, tighten, loosen, tighten, tighten, loosen, so that it's balanced off. And then once you do that, you're golden. Again, you decide whether you want left or right, but just remember the flight controller goes at the bottom. And as you can see, the curve at the top of the frame is how the drone sits on top. In this case, it doesn't matter which way is back or front. That was another reason why I had the left and the right. But for you too, that works when it comes to setting up your drone for directional. See, then you check everything. Move the wires a little bit to make sure that everything turns, and nothing's rubbing. You see right there, it's a little bit higher, so I'm going to have to fix that. So luckily in this case, fixing it will only require screwing things a little bit left and a little bit right. But you can also be off balance if your press nut is not incorrectly. So if your press nut does not go all the way in, make sure the press nuts match the depth to your previous Pavo frame, and then once you have that balanced out, you're good. So now I just have to get the other drone. So this is the I believe the Pavo Pico version 2, which has the lights, and I need my screws, because remember, the screws in the bag are the screws that hold the flight controller together inside of its frame. But in order to do that, remember, you have to have a flight controller, right? So I have to take, not flight controller, the O3 air unit, because the flight controller we just put onto the 3D printed frame. So now you have to take apart whichever drone you're going to take the O3 air unit from. So in this case, we're taking the O3 air unit from the Pavo Pico version 20, and there are only 4 screws holding the frame together, and it's a quick pop out. So if you start taking other things apart, then something's wrong. So basically, as you can see here, that's 2, right? And it comes off really easy. So the frames look really nice, but they really do they really are delicate when it comes to the foundation that they're being planted on, because you know, I could see how if you crash, this could come off too, but apparently not. They, you know, it's well engineered, but you know, you have a false sense of safety thinking that the frame will do it all. And then once you get all of the screws out, right, as you can see, it just slides right out. But in this case, as you can see, I have the GPS unit on there. So I put a GPS unit on here too. I actually put a GPS unit on all my pavos, just for the sake of like just your soldering skills. And you know, it tells you when your drone is 10 feet away or 5 feet away, the coordinate. It's great. It's a great experience, and you know, to give you a level of understanding and confidence when working on your flight controller. Because when working on the flight controller, you want, you know, you only get one take, and so when you want to level up from this drone to another drone, you know, you'll be more comfortable. You'll be like, oh wow, I've done that before, I know how to do that. And so as you can see, you got to take off the O3 air unit, the camera, but make sure when you put it back on, thanks to one of our viewers pointed out in one of my other videos, I put it on upside down. And you want to make sure that the DJI is facing up for the gimbal. As you can see, you just peel that off. This is the previous GPS unit. This is a nicer one because it's not crashed, because my flying skills got better thanks to the rates from FPV Unknown. So now I'm able to fly, you know, without crashing that much. I still crash, but you know, I'm better because we were able to slow things down and smooth them out. As you can see, you just got to be really careful because you have to pull out the antenna. And then once the antenna is pulled out, you know, things just are good to go. But then you have to slide them through the other air unit. As you can see, the frame, the Pavo Pico, they're not transferable. I tried to see if I could squeeze on the Pavo Pico version 2 frame onto the Pavo Pico version 1, but no, it doesn't work. The only thing that's transferable, that it fits really well, that they measured into the T, is the space for the flight controller. As you can see. So once you put the antennas in, the antennas are a little bit tricky, but if you know, I tried with the pliers, but that wasn't too successful. I felt like I was going to tear something and have it slide right through. But you know, it works out. You just have to, again, have patience and squeeze it in. You know, it's a square, so it's not like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It's just that the area is really tight, and you have to like really finagle it so that it just works well and fits securely. And I do like the frame. The frame isn't so bad. And as you can see, once you have everything ready, this is where things get tricky. The connector to the O3 air unit, you only get one take on this. And if you get it wrong, you could ruin everything. So you want to make sure that you get it right, because if you bend it, right, if you bend the prongs in there, you have to take everything apart to fix them again. And you'll know if you did it correctly when you turn on your O3 air unit and try to sync your drone, and you get an MSP error or something else. You think there's something, you're like, wait, nothing's working, I can't control it. Well, I see everything from my goggles, but you know, nothing binds. I can't control my sticks. So it's hit or miss on which pins you'll bend accidentally. Ricardo had done that. He came here all the way from Queens, and he was able to figure out what was wrong. But yeah, and thanks to him, we know that now. So once you screw everything in, again, this is a quick process with the screws, because we're reusing the same screws, but we had some extra ones from the package. So we just took, you know, fresh screws, because I think one of them was actually bent. So I'm just going to take one out of the Ziploc bag and then just use that one from there. And, you know, works really well. And it's nice that you have these extra accessories. You could bend it back, I presume, just by applying heat to the screw and then bending it with a plier so that it becomes straight again. And as long as it fits through the hole, you know, you're golden. You just, you know, watch your flying skills, and remember, when you crash, you know, check to see all your screws are there, and check to see if you're using a UV filter. I actually use a UV filter on all of my O3 air units, because they it's better to crack an O3 air unit than to crack the O3 unit itself. So the the UV filter is $15 or $7 if you buy it on Alibaba, I think it's called. You just have to wait, opposed to getting it on a new gimbal is 100 and something bucks, and it's just, yeah, it's just better that way. And as you can see, things are almost there. We're almost finished with this build on the 3D printed frame for the Pavo Pico, and it should work. Hopefully it works. Again, it's all new to me as it is to you, and so I have my fingers crossed. But yeah, it's working out really well. And again, when putting on the gimbal, make sure the DJI in the back is facing, and it says DJI. Thanks to one of our viewers, they pointed out the last time I put this on upside down, and I didn't realize it until after I went to fly the drone. I'm like, oh no, I got to take it apart again. And it was on, I think, the one of the other log, the Cinelog, which is really hard to take apart and put back together. And I was like, damn. I was like, you know what? I think it was the GEP RC, yeah, the GEP RC 20. And as you can see, we did it. And there's a video there you guys can watch, and that is no fun taking apart and putting together, because they don't make it as easy as it is, as you see here in the Pavo Pico. And look at that. And there we are. Kind of neat, huh? Almost done. We just have to put on the GPS unit. Now with this is just a Glad 3M strip, nothing fancy, but it works really well. As you can see, you just have to finagle it so that it goes on, and then you can put on your GPS, and they stick really well. I haven't had any trouble, and it weathers really well too. I would just wish the other accessories would bind really well when putting them on your drone. Like the lights, the LED lights don't really bind so well, and because when it gets cold, they peel off. I don't think they thought too much into, they put too much thought into that when things were in R&D. As you can see, there we go, and you just press, and this will stick. And this weathers really well, I think, because it's originally designed for paintings or pictures on the wall. So they hold. And as you can see, we'll just snap in. You just press, and voila. Remember, you put the Velcro on both ends, on the drone and on the GPS unit, so it just Velcros and snaps in together. And look at that, kind of neat. Almost there, but not really there, because there's still a couple more things we have to do. But yeah, I think that this is just phenomenal. It's a great build, and again, with your 3D printer, you'll be able to do a lot. But as you can see, we have to install the battery to make sure the battery works. So I took the strap from one of the other Pavo drones. I think I took this from the beta flight, the Pavo Pico version 2. I had an extra strap laying around. So if you don't have a strap, I'll leave a link to that in the description, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get the battery in, because when you print the Pavo Pico version 1, there's no slot in there for the battery. So you just have to jerry rig it. So you could use duct tape or something, but with duct tape you'll only get one take and have to restrap it again. But you see, it works really well. Kind of neat. And then you just have to move it up, move it down, finagle it so that it works just right. But look at that, kind of neat. We did it. And now the true test is to actually see how this thing flies. And we'll test all the corners to make sure everything is seated correctly with the bolts, because you want to turn the propellers, turn each one. I'll check the battery. The battery is a little bit loose. I don't trust the battery connector 100%, but if you're really good at flying, you don't have to worry. So we have the DJI remote controller too, the FPV version of it. We have on our goggles. This is the one we've all been waiting for, and special thanks to FPV Unknown to telling us about the parts we need, because I didn't even have a clue. Press nuts. So you need press nuts. What we needed to get everything so that the screws can be put in. And who would have known? I kept searching online. I even asked people who were building drones in their videos. I'm like, hey, what's that part? No one shares. And that's why we created this channel, so that you can do everything that you want to do in these videos that you see online, and ask questions, and no one shares the secret. All right, so now the moment you're all been waiting for. Let's check it out. We got everything here. Want to make sure we got our battery. Here's our battery. Now the printout of the frame for the Pavo Pico doesn't have a battery holder, so you have to. I took one of the straps from the Pavo Pico version 2. Turn them on. So I like to turn the goggles on first, and then the remote controller, and then the O3 unit last. So you gotta be quick. Whoops. Oh, nice, sweet. Remote controller stick. Hopefully, yeah, this is great. You guys can see. You can go out and about. This is here. We're gonna hopefully, when we don't run out of time with this particular moment and experience and time. Been wanting for this thing to fly. I feel the heat though coming out of the O3 air unit, which is a fair sign. Here's our camera right here, locked and loaded onto our, there we are. Great. And we want everything to spin. All right, let me go back into my goggles. You definitely don't want to be in acro mode, horizontal. You want to be in angle mode. And there's Eric, here we go. Wow, nice. Whoops, of course my flying skills have not improved. It's been a while. I've been spending my time 3D printing. Oh, throttle stick down. And we're gonna try and see if we can hover. Oh, look at that. Whoops. Whoa. Whoop, lost a little bit of control. It's been a while. That's how nerve-wracking. It's like you really do need to put time. Whoops, something was rubbing. Just make sure, whatever it making, you know, you want to make sure none of your parts touch. You'll know by the sound, and you want to make sure. There we go. Here we go. See if I can hover it. Whoops. Whoa, I think I have to write another script or code into this thing so that when it bounces, I have to check the settings. But it did crash. The GPS unit fell off, but thankfully, thanks to the Glad plugin strip, it worked out pretty good. You know, these are just some minor tweaks you can work out, the kinks. Let's see. Oh, there we are. There we are. Whoops. And yeah, so they're really hard to control, but it works, which is great. You can 3D print your own parts. Cool. So when you do print your drone, you want to make sure before you take off that everything spins. So you spin the propellers, right? And there we go. So there's a little heart rate sound. Beep, beep. This one's not going to make it, doctor. And you turn them manually by hand, because if they don't spin, then it means you just have to make some adjustments to the frame. But other than that, this will print perfectly, as you can see. Amazing. You no longer wait for your parts. It's stronger. There are other PLA materials you could use, or colors. You can paint it, or you can choose a different color. PLA. Kind of neat, huh? I like it. I was having difficulty flying it because I was in horizon mode. As you know, I love to only fly in angle mode. So I was like, wait, because in horizon or you know, in the other mode, it's just really, really sensitive. Like one minor tweak in the drone, as you saw, just twists around. So, you know, although they say, you know, you should fly in horizon, acro is the way to go, or horizon is the way to go. But an angle, they wouldn't put it there if you if it wasn't meant to be flown in that particular mode. I was on a meetup a couple of weeks ago, and the guys are like, you got to get out of angle mode. You'll never be able to fly. You're going to get some bad habits in your recall memory if you stay in angle mode. But if you're not looking to do flips, tricks, dives, and things like that, angle mode, and it's just so much easier to fly. One day, who knows, one day I'll look back on this and tell everyone, oh, you got to fly in acro. But no, you got to fly in the mode that's right for you, whether it's angle, horizon, or acro, or as you know in the simulator, it's also known as level mode. You know, I'd love to be able to do the flips, but it just doesn't work that way. Anyway, on that note, I hope this video helped you in better understanding what you can do with your 3D printer. I mean, I got the printer to print a drone, and next thing you know, I'm printing everything except drones. It's just amazing. The kids love it. It's a whole nother, you know, whole nother field of exploration that I think we'll take the channel into. So we go deeper and deeper, because as you can see, it's not just for me. The kids love it. The things you could print and the possibilities are endless, not just a drone. And there's more to life than just drones. So, you know, this channel will be doing a lot more of everything, not just drones, but, you know, drones too. Anyway, like I was saying before, I hope this video helped you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, or ideas for other videos. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.